Hi. 7 days after the operation. I can honestly say it's not been a pleasant 7 days. After the initial op, which was 4.5 hours long, maybe a bit longer, I'm not quite sure, but it was quite long. I went in at around about 11:15 and didn't come out till, well, out of recovery until 6 o'clock, on 6 o'clock in the evening. Lots of work done on the S1, L5, L4. I've had apparently 4 titanium inserts per disc replacement put in, so that would be S1 to L5 and L5 to L4, so that would be 8 inserts in total, which has actually left me probably just about 20 mil or so taller, which I never expected to be. Maybe that's a bonus after this operation, to gain a little bit of height. They would have pulled the vertebrae that had slipped forward back. So the 2 inserts in those discs, then they would have put clamps on either side of the vertebrae, so there'd be 3 clamps, and those clamps would have been held in by 6 titanium screws. You've got titanium discs, titanium clamps and titanium screws, so those screws would have probably been about 40 mil long into my bone. Then there would be 2 titanium rods then running up either side. There's caps that go to the top of those. Obviously then you can screw the vertebrae back out and bring everything back into line with those rods. Coming around after the operation, didn't know much. I was in a bit of a, I just remember coming around being in a bit of a panic, because you're really disorientated, you don't know where you are. Yeah, that's not pleasant. Obviously spent the rest of the day then. I remember asking for my wife, to call my wife, but I don't remember much from the day other than that. The following, I actually got up later that evening. She stood up later that evening to have a wee, which I did with severe lack of feeling in the bladder, and I had no feeling at all in my bowels. So this sort of these videos really are just to see how recovery is from here on in and keep a track of it. I stayed in hospital for Tuesday night, Wednesday night and Thursday night, and I was picked up by my wife on Friday. We had an approximate, I guess, a 2-hour drive home. I would suggest if your journey is anything longer than half an hour, don't take a car, because that was so painful to come back in a car. Should have been an ambulance. Should definitely have been an ambulance. I should have laid down coming back, because to be curled up in a car or to put pressure on the lower area when you've just had the operation and everything's still fresh is not good. It's a killer. So obviously when I got back home then it's a struggle, but while I was in hospital I had no bowel use at all, which I didn't expect. I couldn't go, had complete loss of feeling and complete loss of feeling in my bladder as well, so I could go but couldn't really push, which feels really odd. So they actually sent me home before I had full use of my bowels, which I also think was probably a wrong thing to do, because would you would you send a car back from a garage if it's not fixed? No, so why would you send a person back from a hospital and they're not fully functional? Just sort of doesn't make any sense, really. Which left me constipated for 6 days. And I know I'm not eating a great deal at the moment, but it's a long time, and I had a very, very sore tummy as well. And everything's bruised all around, sort of my lower areas. So unless you've got a high pain threshold, this operation would be an absolute. It's been a nightmare for me, but would be a real nightmare for anybody. If you can't deal with pain, then find another way. Hopefully, in a few weeks' time, I'll look back and go, well, you know what, it was all worth it. Because before I was pretty inactive. I do remember that. I've had a few issues since coming out. Slowly, very, very slowly, got used back with my bowels. Been using laxatives and suppositories to sort of try and get things moving. And eventually, I think the day before yesterday was the first one where actually things did start moving, and that was a relief after 6 days. But I still feel as though I'm not back to normal yet. But it's getting there. It's getting there. I've had a problem with my. I got taken back into hospital by ambulance yesterday. I had 3 nights over the weekend. It's now Monday, so from Friday started sweating and going through phases, and the sweats would last for probably an hour and a half. I timed it, but losing masses and masses of fluid. So, like, if I was in bed, I got through like soaking 3 dressing gowns and numerous towels on the bed, all soaking wet. And then when you wake up and everything's soaking and you're freezing cold and you're shivering because you're wet. And then I've got a waterproof dressing on. So I went and had a shower, try and get myself a little bit fresher and cleaned up. Managing stairs, I've got a walking stick, which helps become a little friend. Also, it's great for grabbing stuff or for bringing stuff closer to you, because you can't twist, you can't bend. It's very difficult to sit down on settees, so you need something to help you. If you're going in for the operation, make sure you've got strong arms before you go in, because you'll need them when you come out. I'm still sweating now. So anyway, over the weekend, lost about 2.5 kilos in weight from sweating alone, I think. And then yesterday morning, we called the doctor because I was running a temperature of 38.7. So we found the doctor. We found it late, sort of 111 or whatever it is, to ask, should I be worried about this? Slightly concerned, possible infection.